All right, guys, so this is the Beyond PhD stuff, and I have a couple books here. I have Jean-Jacques Rousseau's Social Contract. I have my very old Hobbes and Rousseau reader somewhere laying around. I have my John Locke. And social contracts and your political rights, how you're represented by police or representatives is so important. But there's a weird thing that, the Beyond PhD stuff, when we're thinking about, well, why is it the case that I work for a society or someone in a society works for me. And, it gets to this point where you kind of wonder why things like animal rights and things like ecological health or sustainability aren't included in our political system. And why does this make so much sense? Because if you're here with me and, there's so much violence around us, do I have trust and faith in society that we're going to be okay. We can talk about not just private property, but we can talk about like gigabit internet. We can talk about how we provide satellite internet in the United States to other countries with their own economic goals. It sounds so odd, but this isn't like one of those sort of like points where you're like, well, this is just ideology, or isn't this, this is promoting eco-terrorism and all this other stuff. It's not really any of those things. As a matter of fact, it's really just like, well, when you turn your news on and, we see it's Sean Hannity, it's Aaron Burnett, Tucker Carlson's getting a lot of flack for his anti-Semitism stuff right now, or for hosting Nick Fuentes. But it's like, do I feel a certain way about what I'm seeing and hearing? When I think about a wall on the border, isn't it kind of weird? Like, not that we're walling off nature, but that we have gotten this way, that we might be walling off nature. Isn't this the same type of question where it's like, we're talking about SNAP benefits expiring, maybe it's actually a good question to ask, well, what is it like in nature if you don't have food security? What is it like in a state of nature? What John Locke and what Jean-Jacques Rousseau and what Thomas Hobbes, what ad infinitum these guys talked about. That is a good question. It's also kind of a weird question because it's like, actually, if I'm asking about nature, I could go dumpster diving and get food if I needed to. And yeah. And so, you can talk about like Catholic social justice. I'm a former Catholic, all this kind of stuff. You can talk about treating people with dignity, but it's also okay. It's allowed to think in terms of sustainability, in terms of ecology, in terms of animal rights, in terms of what's fair for sort of any being. Those things are all part of a society. That's the video, guys.